This might be my favourite book in the entire 16-book Realm of the Elderlings, but I cannot deny that you are the cutest and the most precious. It's the end of an era. It's not going to get any better. In fact, it's going to get much worse. I don't want to cry. Before we continue, I would just like to say a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, which is Blackstone Publishing. Blackstone Publishing actually began operating out of a garage in Southern Oregon in 1987 as a very small family business that pioneered creative ways to collaborate with publishers, booksellers, and also the audiobook listening community, which are all values that they still hold today. So I'm thrilled to be telling you about one of their new releases, which is Pigman, Scribd, and the Barbershop Detectives. We are getting into fall. It is cozy season. We are going to be tucked up on the sofa with blankets, candles, ambiance rooms, and what book is more fitting to that scenario than a cozy mystery, like your classic British whodunit story. So Pigman, Scribd, and the Barbershop Detectives is set in 1910 in a small village in England following a new chief police inspector called, you guessed it, Pigman Scribd. Pigman Scribd is described as dapper and unflappable, two traits which the residents of Haxley don't think is relevant to a police inspector up until a certain event happens and they are very much in need of a detective. Luckily, Scribd and the local barber, who actually runs some sort of like detective agency out of his barbershop with like a whole cast of locals and also like an ace reporter from the local newspaper, are old acquaintances, and so they all band together to investigate a trio of crimes. This book, like I said, perfect for cozy season if you're looking for a cozy mystery, and it's also perfect for fans of Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie. So for all my crime loving friends out there, if you would like to check out Pigman, Scribd, and the Barbershop Detectives for yourself and maybe order yourself a copy, you can head into my description box, click on the link right at the top, which is tinyurl.com/beccabumxx, and get yourself a copy before the weather starts to turn a little bit chill, which it is doing in the UK now, and I'm very excited about it. And of course, once again, a big thank you to Blackstone Publishing for sponsoring this video. Good morning everybody, and welcome to my second bookoplathon vlog, which is actually starting a day later than I anticipated. If you watched last week's vlog, you will know that my dad got married on the weekend. I spent all of Sunday hungover, and then I just powered through a whole ton of work yesterday, and I'm still reading the same shit that I was reading at the end of last week's vlog anyway, so it wasn't like important that I got this vlog to a start because I knew I wasn't going to make a significant amount of progress with my main read currently being Assassin's Fate by Robin Hobb, which actually isn't even currently on my Bookopoly TBR. So this is the last time I'm actually going to do this spiel in a vlog because the live show for this is on Sunday. But this one is the 16th and final book in the Realm of the Elderlings, and also the third book in the Fitz the Fool trilogy. So this whole saga starts off with a young boy called Fitz, who is 6 or 8 years old at the beginning of the Realm of the Elderlings, and he's dropped off on the doorstep of the keep by his maternal grandfather, who doesn't want to support him anymore and wants him to go back to his father. Fitz's father is actually the king in waiting, Prince of Chivalry, and when he finds out that Fitz is on his way to him, he actually very quickly abdicates the throne and moves to the countryside, leaving Fitz in an awkward position where nobody really knows what to do with him. However, because he is a bastard prince, he is like part of the common people and part nobility, so the stable Master Burrich raises him up until he comes of an age where the king starts to take an interest in him and starts his training to become the royal assassin. Now in this trilogy, I think Fitz is like 60, 62 at this point, and we have come a long way. Like Robin Hobb is known for like super slow, super sad books, and this is not going to be any exception. But what I will say is that this is some Avengers Assemble shit that I truly did not anticipate from this series, and I am living for it. This might be my favorite book in the entire 16-book Realm of the Elderlings. I said it, I'm hooked. I can't tell you anything about it because we're 16 books deep, and this is the book that truly makes reading the rest of the books worth it. Not that they're bad, because I loved the majority of them, but it's just like, some people say say that you can read these broken down into the separate series instead of as an entire thing. I would definitely disagree, because if you've missed any of the books in this series, then this just will not be as good, and this is epic. You need to know the deal with this. So I definitely recommend reading all of the books, and I'm actually going to be making a video. Honestly guys, the reading order for Robin Hobb is super simple, but I am going to be making a video on the Robin Hobb reading order because I mean it's been requested so many times. So as I said, this one is not on my Bookopoly CBR. I'm just reading this because I have to. And then I do have a secondary book that I'm 7 pages into it, so I'm not really going to tell you anything about it until I actually start it properly. But that is All of Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman, which was sent to me by Galanx for review. The release date on this was the 1st of September, so I am late with it, but in my defense, I only received it like a few days before its release date. And this is the second book in a duology about a like magical tournament. It's kind of like what's the book called? An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard, which I really loved. So I am excited to get into that one as well. And because the weather's actually turned today, so I mean it's sunny right now out the front, but it's a little bit colder, hence me wearing a jumper. And I'm just really in a fantasy mood, which is wild because I've been wanting to read predominantly romance for at least the last couple of months. But we do also have a spanner in the works here, because last night Curtis bought me Dreamlight Valley, which if you guys don't know what that is, it is a new Disney game that is very much like Animal Crossing but with Disney characters. I didn't play Animal Crossing throughout the pandemic like everybody else did, even though like we do have a Switch. This is Curtis's. I don't really play Switch unless it's Mario Kart or Mario Party when I'm like drunk or around Christmas time. But I feel like this was the best console for it, because I actually really like that it's portable, because like Animal Crossing, it's a super calming game, so it's like great to play in bed or like just curled up on the sofa. But yeah, I didn't play Animal Crossing during the whole pandemic because I have played it before and I do really like it, but it's just not my kind of game anymore, you know. Like I'm more of a Skyrim girly, and I know I do play Fortnite literally multiple times a week, but that's more because I used to play things like Call of Duty Zombies and like Dead Island co-op games with my friends. And Fortnite, as opposed to it being about the game, because I very rarely play solos in Fortnite, and I only do that if I have like half an hour to spare and nothing else to do, but it's mainly a social thing with my friends. So I typically play, like I've just got Elden Ring, really enjoying it. I'm a big Final Fantasy girl. I love the Elder Scrolls. I love World of Warcraft. So Animal Crossing is kind of like, if I'm going to invest time into a game, even though like one of the points of Animal Crossing is that it's kind of mindless and really therapeutic, I can do that with MMOs like World of Warcraft. So yeah, when the new Animal Crossing was released, I wasn't really too interested in it, even though I have liked Animal Crossing in the past. But if we make Animal Crossing Disney, then I'm 10,000 times more interested. So I started playing this last night. It would be a great game to play with an audiobook, but I do not have any audiobooks or any books that I feel are suitable for audio on my TBR, because you guys know I do struggle and I'm a little bit fussy with audio. So it seems that I'm not going to be able to multitask, but my plan for the day is that I actually have daytime Bookopoly sprints running, because I did say that I would do some for the people who like a weekday daytime sprint, which I do tend to do on Patreon pretty frequently actually. Every couple of weeks we have daytime sprints, but it's currently 9:10, so they start in 50 minutes. I have Leanne from Literary Diversions joining me as well, and my plan, because I've been really struggling, like I've hardly read anything all month, so my plan is to read 50 pages of this, and then when I've done that I can play this for one full sprint. The reason why I'm doing this is because I really want to play this, but what I don't want to do is just put my books down and not pick them up, and I feel like if I do 50-page chunks of this, it will keep my momentum up, so that I want to get through the 50 pages to read this. And it's not that I'm not enjoying this, it's just that it's really slow, and with my focus over pretty much the entirety of this year, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've really been lacking on the epic fantasy that I'm reading. My focus is just so easy to be broken recently, which doesn't lend itself well to fantasy, and I'm reading so much less in one of my Bookopoly boards is bent in half. Why? Anyway, lack of focus and taking longer to read obviously lends itself less to epic fantasy. So yeah, it's just been really hard for me to read epic fantasy this year, and now that I'm in the mood, I want to roll with it, but I'm doing like a kind of like a mini sprint within the sprints to keep my motivation up, because that's something that I have been struggling with. And I've been doing sprints all month. I've done so many sprints and I've read absolutely nothing in them, but today is going to be my day. Bree, come on. Where are you going? Bree, come on. That's the wrong way. We can watch him, or not watch him. It's whatever.
Do you mind if I ask you something? Do you blush as much as I do when I'm near you? I will let her see you, baby. Cherry petals fall like a song. When did I do? The dance is tonight. Ooh, may I hold you? Brush my hands by your neck. You lay your head against my chest. Ooh, love, yeah. Ooh, do you hear the beat of my heart? I sway side to side. Oh, love, yeah. We could be great. We could be love. We could be everything we want. Do you blush as much as I do when I'm near you? I will understand you.
Hey everybody, long time no update because I've barely read anything. I'm still just not really reading anything, and right now I'm doing that thing. So you know when you set aside extra time to do something, so like today we had an early dinner because Curtis was going out to watch the football, which kicked off at like 5:45. So I knew, because it's not a workout day for me on a Thursday, that I had the entire evening to read and play Dreamlight Valley. It is now 7:15 and I walked the dog. I've been back from walking the dog 15 minutes. My documentary finished at 6, so that's an hour that I've had where I've just not done anything. So the more time I have to read, I actually get worse at reading because I feel like I have all this time. So I'm gonna settle down with my book in a minute. Still really enjoying the book, and it's not, while this is slow adult epic fantasy, so it's obviously like not helping the type of book it is, it's not that I'm not enjoying the book at all, because I actually really am. It's me. The problem is with me, and I don't know what it is, but I hope I snap out of it soon, or I hope that it passes at least when I'm done with Assassin's Fate and can pick up something a little bit faster paced. But yeah, alas, there's no end in sight. I still have like 400 pages of this left, which is absolutely wild because I've been reading it for so long, and I still have almost as much as I've already read still to go. Just minding my own business, laying here reading my book, which I now can't really read because it's trapped, and this little pudding came and got down the crack between me and the back of the sofa, and now we're cuddling. You know, she's been a bit of a dickhead today, but I cannot deny that you are the cutest and the most precious and the tiniest, smallest baby. This is the reason why we keep her when she's being a dickhead. Well, looking a little bit glowy because I just finished my workout, which I've squozen this afternoon, because I'm doing Hobb sprints with Cody this evening, and I'm actually getting really concerned now because I put my book down on page, I think like 620. Yeah, so I'm on page 620, and Cody just texted me, and also the message said was fuck. So I asked her, because I know that she's not too far away from me, I asked her like what chapter she's on, and she's only, I want to say, around 40 pages ahead of me. So I'm a little bit nervous about continuing because I'm at the point now where the shit is kind of starting to hit the fan, and you can tell, like, it feels very much like a, not necessarily a calm before the storm, but I've discussed this before. I think it might have been when I was actually reading the second book in this series, how, you know, when something good is happening to characters and everything seems just like a little bit too good, a little bit too happy, so you know that you're about to be plummeted into like a deep depression or something really bad's gonna happen. That's where I'm at now where I'm like right at the peak just before we like plunge down. So I'm really not looking forward to that. I'm just about to head out to the supermarket once I've cooled down a little bit to grab some supplies and stuff for the weekend, and then I'm going to try and squeeze in a couple of chapters before I make dinner, and then shortly after that we'll be going into sprints. There's going to be, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. I knew it was coming. I think because of how slowly I've been reading this book, I've had this sense of like, I'm very much enjoying it, but because my pace is so slow, I don't like to read a book for more than a week because it makes me feel real sluggish. So I have that sense of like, I want this book to be over so that I can move on to other things, because it's just, it feels like it's been too long reading this one book. But now that I have like around 200 pages left, it's very much hitting me that like, this is the end of a universe. Like I'm never going to revisit like a new story featuring Fitz The Fool. And now that I've been desperate to get this book over with, I now want to put on the brakes and slow down and not finish it because I'm scared.
Resident of a mansion with halls I'd never mention and rooms that I don't think I've ever seen. Skeletons in the closet with shirts I haven't worn yet and clothes I've worn since I was 17.
So I feel like that is the worst of the book. But I still have like 190 pages left. And now I don't want to read them anymore. Good evening, my friends. I am about to try and finish Assassin's Fate. I am gonna walk through at some point as well, so I'm not gonna go through the entire thing right now. I have about 130-ish pages left, I think. And let me tell you, it has been an emotional roller coaster for the last like 70-ish pages, I want to say. And I know from doing sprints with Cody last night that it's not going to get any better. In fact, it's going to get much worse. And not necessarily worse as in like bad and terrible things are going to happen, but worse as in like the level of emotion. I fully believe I'm going to be sobbing by the end of this book / the end of the night. And I don't want to finish it. I really just don't want to do it. But I did go out today and I actually picked up a few books, which there were so many books that I could have picked up and I didn't, because I was like, well, what's the point? I'm not going to read them anytime soon. Let's see if I can remember what I saw. I saw The Last Wish by Savakovski, which is the first Witcher book, which I already have the Illumicrate hardback of, but I don't have the paperback that matches the rest of the books that I have, and I have been picking them up secondhand. But I was like, I've already read it and I have a hardback, so I don't need it. I saw the second two books in the Mark Lawrence series that follows on from Prince of Thorns. So you have the Prince of Thorns trilogy and then another trilogy, and I have the first book in that trilogy but not the second two, so I saw the second two of those and was like, no, I don't need them. I saw like the third and fourth book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, which I do need to read the first book very soon because it's a Patreon pick from I think July now. I'm really behind. And once again, I was like, no, don't need it because I haven't started the Black Dagger Brotherhood. And then I finally broke and I picked up 3 books. It was some sort of like church sale. The charity shops near me that are like that, the books are really cheap. So I got 3 massive books for £1. The first one that I saw that I really wanted was The Magician by Raymond Feist. I absolutely cannot tell you anything about the plot of this, but I know that it is the start of an extended universe that has, let's see if I can find out how many books it has. And I know I've picked up a Raymond Feist book before. I had The Talon of the Silver Hawk, which is the first book in one of his other series that is part of this like extended universe. So the whole thing is called the Rift War Cycle, and it says on Goodreads that there are 32 works and 31 of those are primary works. So it is a big old intimidating extended universe. This book, I think it was published in like 1970 something or 80 something. 83 it was published. This is the 97 edition. And all I can tell you is that it's epic fantasy, but I did read the first page while we were in the queue for lunch. And I do really like the writing. It actually reminded me a little bit of Robin Hobb. And then I also picked up, I just wanted the first book in the series, Kushiel's Dart, but I got Kushiel's Avatar, which is the 3rd book as well, because they were either 50 pence each or 3 for £1. So this was essentially free. But I have seen this recommended quite a few times. I also have seen quite a few content warnings for this as well, because the main character in here is a slave, and I think she might be a sex slave, but she experiences pain and pleasure at the same time, I think. So she can't experience one without the other. So there's like extreme domination and also like pain in here, obviously. And then we have the fact that she's a slave. I don't know the specifics of it. I have also heard that it's pretty good in terms of it being a political fantasy, but some people don't like it because of the content warnings, and I am like at least vaguely aware. This is a book that I looked at quite a while ago and kind of was like, oh, I'm interested in that. But it was so long ago that I don't really remember any of the details. But I have it now. It's big. Oh my God. This first book is 1015 pages. Jesus Christ, I did not realize that. How big's this one then? This one is 680. Like, look, there's not even that much difference, I would say, in the size of them. That is intense. But yeah, my memory card is nearly full. I have 1 minute left on it, so I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. But I couldn't resist. They were 3 for £1, and I really want to read this one at some point. And this is one I've been interested in or like intrigued by for a while. Good morning. Oh. I'm just gonna do a quick update for you guys while I'm sorting some stuff out. You want the drawer open? So I actually had quite grand plans for today. Curtis is out, and I'm at like a really crucial part in Assassin's Fate. I really should have finished it last night, but it was also the last day of the Fortnite season. So I wanted to get in some like last minute XP, so I ended up playing Fortnite instead of finishing the book. But I only have about 80 pages left, but I know from seeing Cody and also Beth finish it that it's going to get pretty dramatic pretty soon, and I want to read that in kind of like an uninterrupted session so that like I can feel the full like emotion of it, which I feel is valid. So my plan was to get up early this morning because Curtis was going out, so I was going to be getting up early regardless, and having my coffee, playing some Dreamlight Valley, because like I said, don't want to get into the book unless I can read it all at once. Walk Brie, come home, put her to bed for a couple of hours and finish the book. Get down, please. That is not what happened today. I'm going to spare you the details because it is actually quite grim. But Curtis woke me up, excuse me, at 8:30 this morning because Brie has some quite violent diarrhea again, and it's actually been about a month since she's been like this, but it is literally liquid. So there was just like, it was a massive cleanup job. Like, I was trying not to throw up when he woke me up this morning. And of course she needed a bath as well. I thought, okay, we'll see how she is. We'll see how this passes. Because in herself, she's fine, which means that she probably doesn't need to go to the vet. But I took her for a walk, and you could say that the problem is not quite resolved. So I've just been to get a pack of chicken breast to cook for her so that she can go into rice and chicken for a couple of days until she firms up. But this means that I don't want to leave her unsupervised. I really just feel like I've been sat in the living room a lot recently, and as a lot of you guys all know, I live in an old Victorian house. This room is an extension, so the living room, which is this room, doesn't have any windows in it, just has the light that like filters through from in here. So it's quite a claustrophobic slight less room to be in. So I was going to actually go up, get in bed where there's tons of natural light and just like finish the book. But I can't do that next. I don't want to leave her unsupervised in case she has an accident, because I don't want to do that like whole cleanup thing, especially not by myself with Curtis out. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with cooking this rice and chicken, and then I guess I just hope that she settles and goes to sleep. Break. Whereas like it's not looking hopeful though, because right now she's trying to get in the bin. But yeah, pain is imminent, because I have to finish the book soon. It's 9 hours until the live show, but I want to get it over with as soon as possible so that I definitely want to leave myself enough time obviously to read it, but I also want to get it done because I want to do some cleaning today. The living room especially needs hoovering because she molts like a ridiculous amount. I didn't know how much. Like, I know now that it's quite well known that Labradors molt like an enormous amount, but I didn't know that until after we already had her. So my and a top tip that people say is to match the colour of your Labrador to the colour of your house. So I should have had a black lab really. Definitely not whatever this is, like a mix of yellow and red. Oi, stop trying to eat everything. Stop it. So yeah, it's quite noticeable. So that's the plan. Make food for Brie, who's eating better than I am for lunch. Finish the book, cry a whole ton, and get off the table. And then have a little bit of a tidy round. We are settled. I've got my favourite Bird and Blend tea, which not sponsored, I wish I was, but it is the flipping delicious one, which is strawberry and Nutella pancakes. Never thought that this one would be my favourite, but it truly is. I have my crusty poo dog on deck who won't stay on her side of the sofa where her blanket is because she's a bad crusty poo dog. And I also have a secondary drink and my 80 pages of Assassin's Fate. So I've done everything I possibly can to avoid putting the overhead light on as well to make me feel less shit about being trapped in here. I just start to get like, if I spend too many days in a row spending like a considerable amount of time in the same room, I start to feel a little bit claustrophobic, which my house is quite big, but it's just I find myself locked in patterns of only using like 2 rooms. So yeah, I'm gonna dive into my book and cry a lot. I'm on my period as well, so this is game over for me. It's gonna be heavy. It's gonna be an intense end to the series.
Resident of a mansion with halls I'd never mention and rooms that I don't think I've ever seen. Skeletons in the closet with shirts I haven't worn yet and clothes I've worn since I was 17.
You're right.
Close the door and bolt it shut, 'cause you're the only one I trust. What can I do to help you feel the same for me? Baby, don't be unforgiving, 'cause I already have no sympathy for myself. And darling, I'd be more than willing to put my cold heart in your hands and let it melt. Shout it in all your secrets, with walls to hide your weakness, a resolute but hopeless mystery. But I can see through the surface, you're alone to hide your loneliness. And I know, 'cause you're an awful lot like me. So baby, don't be unforgiving, 'cause I already have no sympathy for myself. And darling, I'd be more than willing to put my cold heart in your hands and let it melt. So long after the days we were pushing them daisies, I will be yours. The thorns on the roses, I may never know if I've seen them all, but I'll give you all of me, unreservedly, yeah. Baby, don't be unforgiving, 'cause I already have no sympathy for myself. And darling, I'd be more than willing to put my cold heart in your hands and give you all I am, 'cause only you could understand what I have felt. I put my cold heart in your hands and let it melt.
It finished. 5 stars. Oh my god. There's not even anything I can tell you, but it was so good. Hey, I'm back and I am somewhat recovered from yesterday. So I want to tell you a little bit about this book, but obviously I can't actually tell you all that much because it is the 16th book in a series, but I adored it. I gave it 5 stars. This is not only the end of a series, it's the end of an era. Catch Up Book Club has been going since I think like March, April 2020, or like this Elderling along. Catch Up Book Club actually started in 2018 when we were reading Game of Thrones. Yeah, two and a half years we've spent reading this series and we've had such a good time. It's been a roller coaster of emotions and the scope of the series is honestly just so epic. I am maybe today, possibly tomorrow, going to be filming the video I talked about at the beginning of this vlog, which is essentially going to be like a guide or like an overview of the Realm of the Elderlings for anybody who's looking for a little bit more information and wants to get into it. But we start off with, I don't want to cry, with a little boy called Fitz who's been abandoned and is thrown into this world that he's unfamiliar with, surrounded by people that he doesn't know, and he's just taken advantage of and abused at every single turn. And watching him grow throughout 9 books that are like his trilogies has really been something. And this is, I don't know what to say. Obviously I'm going to be putting everything I can think of non-spoiler into that video that I'm about to film, but just Robin Hobb's character work is masterful. The depth of the emotional connection I have to the characters of this, it's like the nostalgia that Fitz feels for his childhood in the first trilogy. I feel the same nostalgia because of the way that Robin Hobb has written this and how everything about this series truly evolves over the 60 years that it takes place over. So right at the beginning of this, nobody knows anything about the magic and everyone's in a very different place at the end of this. The political climate is very different. People are becoming more open-minded about the different types of magic that people have and the way that they view them. The royal family has evolved. It's more representative of the world as opposed to like the 6 duchies. Very similar things are happening in other areas of the world that we follow in the Live Ship Traders and the Memoir Chronicles as well. The only real criticism I have of this, without saying anything about the contents of this book, is that I feel like there should have been a companion novel that went alongside this that followed a different group of characters, because I felt that some characters in this book were done a disservice and some elements of this story were done a disservice by happening in between the chapters, and it's actually things that I would have liked to read about with characters that I actually really like. So I wish that there would have been an additional kind of novel or novella that ran alongside this from the perspective of different characters. Now obviously I don't know how that would have panned out. If it did exist, it would have been like a little bit of an awkward one to fit in, but I just really felt like some of my favorite characters in this book were disrespected because of things that happened to them and things that they were doing happening off page. I have, since I finished this, I have looked up the next books that Robin Hobb is writing in the Realm of the Elderlings, which she is currently shelved because once again can't really tell you anything about them, but they will be following a character that is introduced in this latter trilogy. And the topic of the series was a blood plague that like jumped species, which she was writing it in the pandemic, so obviously she shelved it for the time being because it's not a great climate to either write or read that book. Sorry my darlings, you have a hair on you and I can't get it off. Oh, there we go. So she shelved that. She's not currently working on it, and I will obviously read it if that book / series is released, but it will hurt to read it because so much is drawn to a close in this book. It's like if you're really old, I guess, revisiting the place of your childhood where like everything has changed and everyone has changed. That's what it would be like if I read more books, or like the book that Robin Hobb is intending on writing that follows on from this. So I will read it, but it will hurt to read it at the same time, if that makes sense. So yeah, the end of an era, the end of a vlog. Not a continuation of my readathon though, because this book was actually not on my bookoplathon TBR. It was the one book that I needed to read this month that I just could not get into the actual TBR. We're 2 books down for September. It's the 19th and I've read 2 books. It's not going well, but I am hoping to pick up the pace a little bit over the rest of the month now that I have got this out of the way, because as well as this being really slow, like I know that I dragged my feet on this because I really didn't want it to end. And now I'm going to be moving on to, hopefully, fingers crossed, books that are a lot less emotionally impactful. Nothing's going to make me sob like this did, like guaranteed. But next week I am actually going to be starting the next installment of the Is the Goldsboro Science Fiction and Fantasy Fellowship Worth My Money, where I read through 3 of the recent Goldsboro books that come in the Science Fiction and Fantasy Fellowship subscription and let you know what I think of them, whether this subscription is worth my money. So do stay tuned for that if you are at all interested, and I will also put the link to the Goldsboro playlist in my description box in case you guys would like to catch up ahead of the next installment that is coming very soon. And of course, once again, a big thank you to Blackstone Publishing for sponsoring this video, and please remember that if you would like to check out Pigman, Scorpion and the Barbershop Detectives for yourself, you can click on the link at the top of my description box, which is tinyurl.com/beccabumxx. But that is it for this vlog, guys, so I do hope you've enjoyed it if you've made it this far. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.